Recently, we completed a couple of nunes, and after that retreat, someone wrote to me and asked, how does purification work? This person was here for 4 days with us, 5 days, and certainly experienced some change within themselves, their mind, but had this big doubt. How does purification work? And so I thought with the Vajrasattva retreat coming up, it might be interesting just to have a discussion about how we think purification works. So it seems to me that to understand purification, we first have to understand karma in general. And so the main, when we're talking about a path of action, an action that actually has a possibility of propelling a rebirth, then we talk about four main branches. There's the basis, attitude, performance, and completion. And within the attitude, there are three components. There's a recognition, recognizing the basis that we're acting towards or on, a motivation, and then if it's a non-virtue, it's an affliction. Otherwise, it would be just a state of mind, a positive state of mind. Then the performance and completion. So, for instance, if we have a tangible example that might help. So if a path of action of killing, say you've killed a mosquito or a cockroach or something, the basis would be that living being. The attitude would be either a specific recognition, like I want to kill that fly that's been buzzing around or that mosquito. So the attitude would be the recognition. It can be a very specific recognition, like I want to kill that mosquito that's buzzing around, or it can be a general one, a general recognition, like I'm just going to kill any mosquito that comes around me. The motivation is a wish to kill, and the affliction in that case would be, it can actually be any of the three, but to bring an action of killing into being, then there's definitely anger, a wish to harm involved. And then there's the performance, whether you're killing yourself or, you're doing the killing yourself, or you're asking someone or coercing someone to do it for you. And then the completion is that living being dies before you. Sometimes we also include rejoicing in the activity as part of the completion. So I was thinking about, okay, we know with purification there are these four aspects that we talk about. There's the power of reliance. We rely on the Buddhas, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, actually. And so we have created negativities in relation to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, the holy beings. And so we can include refuge as part of our reliance. Also, most of our non-virtues or our negativities are created in relationship to sentient beings. And so we generate bodhicitta as a way of repairing that relationship. So the power of reliance. Then there's the power of regret, which is understanding that if we don't purify, well, first of all, understanding what constitutes a non-virtue. And then also understanding that if we have accumulated a non-virtuous karmic seed on our mind stream, if we don't purify it, if we don't remedy it, it will bring its result, a suffering result of one kind or another. The power of the antidote can be any virtuous activity, actually, but there are some specific ones that are mentioned in sutra. And then the power of restraint, or the power of turning away from that negativity, is another aspect. And so I've been thinking about, well, how do these match up with what we understand about the path of action? So these are my ideas about how these four opponent powers match up with the four branches of a path of action. So the basis, what is it that we're doing the activity of purification on? In my mind, that is the non-virtue that we know we've accumulated. And then the attitude, we can recognize that we've done a specific action, or we can say in general, for every time I've had ill will in my mind, or every time I've killed. And then the motivation is, I intend to purify my mind. And so here, purification means to render a karmic seed incapable of giving rise to its full result. That's what purification means. And then here, instead of an affliction, regret for a non-virtue would be a positive state of mind. And so we would say regret. The power of regret, I think, could be the attitude of the state of mind. And then the performance would be the antidotal activity that we do, whatever virtuous action we do. For instance, here we recite the the names of the 35 Buddhas. I think also we've recited the Sutra of Golden Light. There's a chapter, fourth chapter is on purification there. Also, any activities of reciting mantras like the 100-syllable mantra of Vajrasattva, making holy images like creating satsas, relying on what's called worship or making offerings, like offering water bowls to Buddha images or stupas, or offering like gold leaf to statues, things like that. And anything to do with emptiness really is the strongest, one of the strongest purifying activities that we can do. Why? Because understanding emptiness, realizing emptiness is the ultimate antidote that we need. And then the completion. I don't know, my thought is that the completion might be the resolve. When you come to a very firm resolution that I'm going to avoid this same negativity for a specific period of time. So the one that's missing here is the power of reliance. It doesn't, in my mind, it doesn't fit neatly within the 4 branches. But of course, it could also be an additional motivation to the power of regret and also the power of the antidotes that we're doing. So do you have any thoughts about this? Any debates? Venerable Losang.
The power of reliance can sometimes be the power of repair. So who have you harmed? If you create a negativity, it's either towards the holy beings or towards sentient beings. Mm-hmm. And so that could be the basis. It's who you harmed.
Yes.
But it's a different take on it.
Yes. Yeah, maybe we could say there are 2 bases. It seems like the basis usually is, the person or the thing that you've done the action towards. So you could include it there. But also, what is it that what is the performance actually addressing? It's the karmic seed. So that was my thinking about that. Yeah.
So when we were doing purification, and I've heard a lot of people talk about getting sick as kind of either a direct cause or some kind of side effect. So I'm wondering, does purification actually stimulate the ripening of certain seeds, but just at a diminished level?
It can. That's my understanding. Yeah. So if we think about it, rendering a seed incapable of giving rise to its full result, it may give rise to a lesser result or a result of a smaller duration. Or perhaps the conditions can't come together for that seed to ripen. The seed's still there, but it can't ripen for some reason. So there are different ways that purification can happen. And it does seem to be the case that when there is a lot of purification happening, that it can ripen in terms of, or it's hard, we can't make that connection, but there is a coincidental observation.
Yeah, I have come across a teaching on how the 4 opponent powers overcome the 4 different types of results, the fully ripened result and so on. I don't know it by heart, but I'll look it up on my computer and send it to you later. But that shows how going through those 4 powers eliminates, or at least reduces, counters the karmic results of our actions.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, anything else? All right, we'll finish there.